Live pictures over the downtown Dayton skyline tonight from our Eco Plumber Sky Cam. Winter-like temperatures now returning to the Miami Valley as a severe weather threat from earlier has moved out of the area. Now, this storm did cause some damage all across the Miami Valley while also leaving thousands in the dark. However, those strong winds and rain are now going to be transitioning to snow. So Chief Meteorologist Natalie Walters is tracking these changes for us. She is here now. And Natalie, what can we expect for the rest of the night?
Well, definitely a colder one across the area as we head into the overnight hours. We did see those stronger storms push their way through earlier, and now we're just talking about some showers, eventually some snowflakes, and of course much colder air that's sliding its way in. So our heavier rain, of course, has pushed its way off. Those stronger winds, they've calmed down a bit, but here's a look at what's going on right now. Light showers south of Springboro, continuing south of Xenia. We have some light rain as well into the Hamilton area. Temperature-wise, we're back in the 30s. We were in the 60s earlier today. Now we're sitting at 39. You factor in the wind, which it's still pretty breezy. We're talking about wind chills in the 20s. It feels like 27 in Dayton. 26 is what it feels like in Bell Fountain. It feels like only 22 up in Salina right now. Bus stop forecast tomorrow. Different story. Kids will need a coat to be bundled up because we're tracking 30s throughout the day tomorrow. Some light snow showers to some flurries through the afternoon. Overall, much different story than what we saw for today. But coming up, I am talking about the potential for some accumulating snowfall. It's coming up in just a bit.
Natalie, thanks. Now we want to show you some of the damage that our crews and you at home have seen across the Miami Valley tonight. Lydia Bice is at the Now Desk. And Lydia, where are we seeing most of that damage happen?
Well, first you can see here that a tree fell across Patterson Road in Dayton. The street was shut down near Carillon Park as crews worked to remove the limbs. Next, another tree caused issues for drivers along Mad River Road in Washington Township. You can see the tree completely blocking the roadway here. Now, let's take a look at some of the photos you sent in from the storm. This last one was sent to us via Chime-In and shows a tree fallen into Harbison Street in Miami Township. Don't forget, you can send us your pictures through Chime-In at Dayton247now.com. You can find the Chime-In section on the banner at the top of the homepage. Back to you.
Lydia, thanks so much. A live look now at the AES outage map. Crews are out working to restore power to anyone who is still in the dark right now. At the moment, you can see there are nearly 3,000 customers without power. At the height of the outages, around 5 this evening, there were more than 14,000 in the dark. And we're going to be providing up-to-the-second updates as weather continues to move through the Miami Valley. To get breaking news alerts sent directly to your phone, be sure to download the Dayton 24/7 Now app by scanning the QR code there on the screen. You can also download it in the Google Play or Apple App Stores. And you can also keep up with us on social media. Just make sure to like and follow our Facebook and Twitter accounts that are right there up on your screen. The Miamisburg City School District could see some changes next year. This is all after a town hall meeting last night. The board met this evening to further discuss new elementary programming and redistricting options. Gwyneth Falloon was there for that meeting and is live now. And Gwen, can you talk us through these different options the district is weighing?
Yeah, Megan. So the district has actually come up with 3 different proposals, 2 of which have plans involving a kindergarten-only building. The remainder of the students, those 1st through 5th graders, would then be rearranged and redistricted to different schools.
The rest of the students would be divided 1 through 5 in 6 buildings. And then the idea, too, would be still a kindergarten location, and then we would have grade banded. And those grade banded would be 3 grade banded that had students in grades 1 and 2, and then the other 3 buildings would have students in grades 3, 4, and 5.
The third and final proposal is of complete city redistricting.
So Gwen, when can we expect to see a decision made about all this?
Well, nothing has been finalized and nothing was finalized tonight. Superintendent Laura Blessing says they won't have a decision for about another month or so. They're hoping to have made a choice this coming March, around the same time that kindergarten and preschool registration begins. Until then, though, she and other board members are going to continue to speak with families and students to gather more feedback to make the best choice for her district. A full list of the upcoming public town hall meetings can be found on our website. That's Dayton247now.com. Megan, I'll send things back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Gwen. After Governor Mike DeWine signed House Bill 458 back on January 6, veterans in Ohio will now no longer be able to use their veteran ID card as an acceptable form of identification when voting in future elections. The legislation eliminates a long list of previously acceptable IDs, including the veteran ID card that is issued by the Montgomery County Recorder's Office. It's going to take effect in 90 days. Now, veteran and Montgomery County Recorder Brandon McLean, who launched the free veteran identification card program in 2018, is voicing his concerns about House Bill 458. He says the impact this new law will have on prospective voters who are veterans in Ohio is concerning, and that the law disproportionately affects veterans who we should be protecting. McLean believes an amendment is needed to prevent voter disenfranchisement. He says he intends to talk with local legislators about these concerns. A new Senate bill aims to make more Ohioans eligible for medical marijuana. Melena Brown spoke with the bill's sponsor about the legislation and the benefits for patients. She also takes a look at some of the additional conditions that will be eligible for a card if it passes.
Medical marijuana has been legal in Ohio since 2016, but not for everyone. Senator Huffman says that in the beginning there needed to be limitations, but as time has gone on, it is time to expand, and it's important for Ohioans to be able to get the treatment that works for them without having to leave the state.
To me, it's about giving opportunities to see if it works for that patient, that child, to see if they have a better quality of life.
If passed, the bill will also create a division of marijuana control within the Ohio Department of Commerce. Huffman and other officials hope that this will be passed within the next month or two, and then it would be implemented 30 days later. For Dayton 24/7 Now News, I'm Melena Brown.
Melena, thanks so much. Prosecutors in New Mexico have charged actor Alec Baldwin for the deadly 2021 shooting on the set of the movie Rust. Baldwin and the film's armorer, the person in charge of the weapons on set, are each charged with involuntary manslaughter over the death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. If convicted, they face up to 18 months behind bars and a $5,000 fine. The prosecutor says Assistant Director David Halls signed a plea deal for the charge of negligent use of a deadly weapon.
Nobody was doing their job. There were 3 people that if they had done their job that day, this tragedy wouldn't have happened. And that's David Halls, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, and Alec Baldwin. If they had just done their basic duties, we wouldn't be standing here.
Baldwin's attorney reiterated the actor's claim of innocence, saying Baldwin had no reason to believe that there would be a live round in the gun. They plan on fighting the charges. The woman accused of kidnapping 2 twins out of Columbus is now facing federal kidnapping charges. Nala Jackson is accused of stealing a car last month with 5-month-old Kason and Kyer Thomas inside. Kyer was dropped off at Dayton International Airport. Kason was found a few days later still in that car in Indianapolis. Jackson is currently in custody in Indiana and will now be brought back to Ohio tomorrow. Well, the Centerville Police Department taking to Twitter tonight to warn against local phone scams. They say they've received several reports of scam phone calls coming from someone posing as a Centerville officer. The caller ID lists the Centerville Police Department's number. The person calling even provides a badge number of 113. We're told they also identified themselves as Maria. So if you get a call like this, officers say don't engage and instead just hang up. Today, Congressman Mike Turner announcing a $1 million fund for expansion of East End Community Services. It was given to help the organization in its mission to educate and help members of the community during difficult times. It's also going to help to expand current services as well as create a new facility for the organization. Turner spoke about this funding at a news conference earlier today.
As you know, I grew up around this area and worked with St. Mary's and the East End group as they worked to try to solidify programming for this community and bring back a structure and try to address some of the social issues here of addiction and provide schooling and after school assistance. This is a national competition, so it shows you that not only was this important and a great achievement for our community, it's also a nationally recognized program and achievement.
The East End Community Services Corporation has now raised $5.2 million from local and federal sources. This new building will be located across the street from the current center on Xenia Avenue in Dayton. That expansion is scheduled for the spring of 2023. One former Bengals linebacker might not have won a playoff game in his time playing in Cincinnati, but he is still a major part of this year's team. Vincent Ray turned his passion on the field to a new career as team chaplain off it. And as the Bengals prepare for Buffalo, his impact is being felt across the locker room. Gary Miller explains.
Vinny Ray was never part of a playoff winning team in his career with the Bengals, but last year he made it to the Super Bowl, and he's along for this playoff run. He's the team chaplain. Special teams captain Mike Thomas talks about how much it means to have a guy who played the game also serving this dual role. Whether it's a first-year player like Cal Adamitis or a well-traveled veteran like Mike Thomas, Vinny Ray is able to offer something the typical team chaplain cannot. How many of them actually played in the NFL?
Because I played against him and he's like closer to my age or closer to our age, he's like, nah, like, yeah, I could show up in the locker room and once, twice a week and have, some type of devotion with you and Bible study with you. But nah, I'm going to text you. I'm young enough to where I'm going to hit you up, like, via text on the app, and we're going to grow together like that. So it's just that constant, everyday, finding different ways to connect with guys, finding different ways he's going to meet you where you at to continue to grow in your faith. And I think that's helped a lot with especially some of our younger guys, because he's meeting them where they at.
Vinny Ray will travel with the team on Saturday and hold his chapel service that night, heading into that big playoff battle on Sunday against the Bills. From Highmark Stadium, Gary Miller, back to you.
All right, thanks, Gary. The vice president highlighting energy investments in Arizona, why she says a clean energy economy is going to benefit all Americans. And the future of driving is here. The self-driving semis you could see on the road as early as next month.
Plus, I'm tracking those storms moving out and much colder air sliding in. That's coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
A heads up for drivers if you plan on hitting the roads around central Ohio. We've been talking about self-driving vehicles for a while now, and we're about to see a lot more of them. Tom Bosco shows us when and where this experiment's going to begin.
If you're traveling between Dublin and Marysville in the next couple of weeks, you could be sharing the road with a couple of semis that are autonomous. ODOT says it is going to experiment with 2 semis that have some driverless vehicle functions. It's all part of Drive Ohio's experiments with driverless vehicles. Now, ODOT insists these semis will have drivers behind the wheel at all time. The plan is a platoon of 2 semis. The following semi will be mirroring the semi in front of it. I spoke with some drivers who say they do have some safety concerns, but they know this is the future.
It's our future. We're going to be the Jetsons.
We're
going to be the Jetsons one day.
ODOT says look for those autonomous semis on the roadways the second week of February. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks so much. Strong winds played a significant factor in today's damage, as well as power going out to thousands in the Miami Valley as those storms rolled through this evening. Forecaster Timothy Boyd has been tracking the winds for us. And Tim, just how powerful were some of those gusts?
Yeah, we had some pretty impressive wind gusts come through today. These storms are moving very quickly, so that is the one good thing. They were not able to really stick around and cause more damage. But like right here, Dayton 65, Wright Brothers Airport 62, 54 at Springfield and Wilmington, and Beaver Creek sitting at 51 mile-per-hour wind gusts. So our Beaufort scale is how we kind of, map out what we can expect damage-wise when it comes to these wind gusts. So 40 to 60 miles per hour is right in here. So you can expect shingles blowing off roofs, trees broken, snapped, large branches, not twigs. Structural damage will occur to buildings. So especially when you get that prolonged exposure to that wind. But like I said, luckily this came in, came out, and we had mostly a power outage issue out of this. You'll have a full forecast up with Natalie.
That's right. But first, this is a look at a time lapse from Dayton today. You can see when the storm moved into the Miami Valley, just how drastically different the conditions became quickly outside. It happened when a cold front moved through earlier this evening, and now we're seeing that drop in temperatures. Natalie, again, back now to show us what we can expect when we wake up tomorrow.
It's going to be much colder tomorrow. Even as you step out the door right now, it's kind of a shock to the system because it was in the 60s earlier today. Now we're talking about some rain showers, starting to maybe even see some snowflakes mixed in, and that will be the trend as we head into the overnight hours with some wintry precipitation possible. Area of low pressure heading off to the north and the east. We are seeing snow showers wrapping around this system, and we'll continue to see some light snow and some flurries today and tomorrow. And eventually, we're talking about the potential for some accumulating snowfall. So moving through time, lows tonight dropping into the 30s, so waking up tomorrow morning right around freezing. Wind chills will be in the 20s throughout the day. Scattered light snow showers by tomorrow afternoon. Nothing too significant, but it will be a very winter-like day. Sunshine up to about 40 degrees on Saturday, and then check out our Sunday. This is when our next weather maker approaches. Looks like we will see some snow showers as we start off the day on Sunday. Does look like we could see some minor accumulations. Right now it's looking like maybe an inch or so of some snowfall. So we're going to be monitoring our system on Sunday very closely as we could see some accumulating snow.
Natalie, thanks. It's been 3 years since the first COVID-19 case was confirmed in the United States, and the World Health Organization says the virus still has not settled into a predictable pattern. That first case back in 2020 was a man in Washington state who had recently visited Wuhan, China. Since then, there have been more than 102 million cases in the United States. More than 1 million people have died from the virus. COVID was the third leading cause of death in the U.S. in both 2020 and 2021. The Supreme Court says it still can't find who leaked the opinion overturning abortion rights. It's been 8 months since Politico published the leaked draft opinion by Justice Samuel Alito that overturned Roe v. Wade. The High Court's investigative team hasn't been able to identify the person behind the leak. Nearly 100 people were interviewed. We're told it will continue to be investigated until they find out who leaked that information. President Biden breaking his silence about the classified documents found at his home. He spent the day touring flooding damage in California and had just wrapped up remarks over the plan moving forward. Biden says the American people would much rather hear more about his administration's efforts to help millions of people.
I think you're going to find there's nothing there. I have no regrets. I'm following what the lawyers have told me they want me to do. It's exactly what we're doing. There's no there. Thank you.
And President Biden says a handful of documents were filed in the wrong place and that they immediately turned them over. Critics, though, question the timing of the discovery. The first batch was found right before the primary election in November, but wasn't made public until January. The DOJ has appointed a special counsel to oversee that inquiry. Vice President Kamala Harris in Arizona today. She was putting the spotlight on the administration's investments in clean energy. A transmission line that stretches across Arizona and California is going to deliver electricity from wind and solar farms in the desert to big cities like Phoenix and Los Angeles, as well as some rural communities. Harris praised the project, saying a clean energy economy is going to benefit all Americans.
It shows that when we invest in climate, we also invest in families, in communities, in opportunity and prosperity for all people.
The vice president was joined by leaders from the Department of the Interior and the Department of Energy. The project is expected to be operational by the end of the year. A live look now from our Eco Plumbers Sky Cam. It was a mild, nice day, Natalie, but it has turned into a cold night.
Yeah, feeling like January again. After a very spring-like day, we had temperatures back into the 60s. Now we're back into the 30s, so we're sitting at 39 in Dayton. It's still a little breezy, though, and we'll continue with some of those stronger winds as we head into the overnight hours. Some gusts up to about 35 miles per hour. Right now, winds are between about 15 to 25 miles per hour, even a 32-mile-per-hour wind in Troy with some of those stronger gusts. So it feels colder. It feels like the 20s. And those wind chills are going to stay in the 20s for us. So looking through time, this is 11 a.m. tomorrow, feeling like the 20s pretty much all Friday long. So make sure you are bundled up as we head into this upcoming weekend. It's definitely going to be more like winter. As far as the longer term goes, winter-like weather sticking around for us. Upper 30s, lower 40s, slightly above normal even for this time of the year, but still much more like January as we head into these next several days. I'll have a look at that 7-day coming up here in just a bit.
Natalie, thanks. And a local food pantry gaining national attention tonight. The Emmy-nominated TV shows showcasing the nonprofit's work here in the Miami Valley. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now. A local nonprofit is in the national spotlight tonight. Local food pantry With God's Grace is being featured on the American Dream Selling Dayton. The food pantry started in the back of founder Nicole Atkins' home and has since grown with community support. When the show's host learned of the work that Atkins and the pantry were doing, she decided they needed to be featured on the show.
They've grown into having a free store located here in Dayton for those that are in need, on top of a ton of other programs that they're doing to contribute to the better welfare of our community.
To let the community know about our organization and how we can help the community is uplifting. It's able to show them what we do and the resources that we have for them in this community.
Now, we don't know just yet when this is going to air, but we'll of course pass that information along to you as soon as we get it. A story now from our partners at the Dayton Business Journal. A prominent leader in business education is retiring, leaving behind a 35-year legacy in the Miami Valley. Tom Trainer, dean of the Raj Soin College of Business at Wright State University, will retire at the end of May. Trainer says he's proud of the positive impact his graduates have had in the region and on Ohio as well as beyond. He says he's been planning his retirement with his wife now for many years, and they are planning to do a lot of traveling. Two brothers are rooting for different teams. Their rivalry as their teams, the Bills and the Bengals, go head-to-head this weekend. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
The Dayton 24/7 Now News app, brought to you by the Jeff Schmidt Auto Group.
Two brothers who both grew up in Niagara Falls, New York, are rooting for two different teams come this weekend. One, like everyone else there, is a diehard Bills fan, but the other somehow grew up as a Cincinnati Bengals fan.
Let's talk about this game on Sunday. Loser goes home.
Yeah.
Winner moves on.
Yeah.
Does that change things for your interactions with each other?
No.
I don't say so either.
I was telling him the other day I'm really at peace with the situation because the Bills and Bengals are playing each other.
We've always supported each other no matter what and anything. We've had each other's back. So that's not, weird for us to look at this and try and be neutral about it. Yeah, we want, and don't get confused, I want the Bengals to handle their business, and he wants the Bills to do it too.
Now, these Goodberry brothers have both been to Cincinnati on a couple of occasions to take in Bengals games. And second graders at Dennis Elementary School pulled off quite the welcome home surprise for one student's father. Sergeant Tom Penner returned home yesterday from a 6-month deployment in Qatar. He surprised his son Brooks as the mystery guest reader in class. The students also welcomed this hometown hero back with a welcome home sign, handwritten cards, American flags, and chants of thank you for your service. Well, tonight, check this out. A new world record has just been set right here in the Miami Valley. This is Spike, a